Hi guys, Martin Curry from Belief Media. In this video we're going to look at some of the more advanced features of the image shortcode made available on your mortgage broker website. So we've created a video in the past where we looked at basic image shortcode, how to render images on your website, how to scale them, how to align them, how to apply filters, and so on. In this video, we're going to continue on. First of all, we'll revise the image shortcode. We'll look at how to import remote images into your website, and that is into your image library, so they're accessible to you locally. We'll look at how to import a YouTube thumbnail that links to a video in a modal. We'll look at how to create a screenshot of a remote website and include that image on your website. And lastly, we'll look at basic image shortcode that supports basic galleries. There are a number of gallery features in Yabba. We'll just look at the basic. First of all, if you aren't familiar with shortcode, and I will detail that in just a moment, basically it's a small snippet of code that is replaced with content. And then we apply a number of attributes to the shortcode. Again, I'll explain this in a moment, that alters the behavior of the output. So alters the output that is returned to a user. Now, why have we got these features? Primarily to support, well, agile content creation, first and foremost. You have to be able to create content quickly and in an agile way and respond to consumer sentiment and broad borrower opinion and so on. You just have to be able to create content easily. You don't want to muck around with things, particularly when it comes to images, because they can be problematic in a number of ways, and what we're about to describe simplifies the process considerably in a number of cases. There are other methods that we apply. The image shortcode has about 20 functions, including the basic image shortcode. This will bring the total to 5. So because it's shortcode based, I'll probably have to throw this into an editor in order to square in or focus in on the shortcode that we're using. So I hope the video is quite quick. So the very first thing we're going to do, first of all, I just want to show you the media library. This is the library of all your content in WordPress. You can add media files to your library. All the content that is available in your library is available to be embedded within a post, and that's accessible via the WYSIWYG or the post editor. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at, okay, first of all, we've got an FAQ page here. This is the LMI FAQ from within the FAQ module at the top. It's a good page to do a demo on because it has got the video assigned up the top. Remember, video is the bee's knees, right? You should have a video on every page, and Yabba provides a facility to assign video to every page virtually on your website with a click of a button. It has to be, again, an agile solution. We've got, a demo here, I guess, of the tooltip applied to links. There's the glossary terms that are applied from within Yabba, all here. An inline calculator, in this case for calculating LMI, and old containers here. These have been deprecated, by the way. They should be removed. And certainly down the bottom, I've got a form. Every page in your website is a type of landing page. Every page has to convert. Every page needs a calendar integrated form of some type, so people can contact you quickly and easily, populated from Outlook and sends to your Outlook calendar. Obviously, don't send people off site. Stop sending people to Calendly. It is the clumsiest thing to do. It's a funnel block. It's just silly. What we're going to do is we're going to embed an image after this paragraph here. So this is just a revision of how to include an image on your website. Now, the method that most people use, they'll select their Add Media button from within their WordPress editor, scroll down to an image, and insert into page. Now, unless you're familiar, I guess, with WordPress, this is very rarely going to work as expected. I'll insert that image into the page. That'll populate there. I will update that, and let's have a look at the output. Now the output here will be clumsy because that's the way WordPress works. So I'm going to refresh that page, and we're going to have a dodgy little image square there. There's the caption that I don't like, and that's not what we want. So we'd have to go back there and trial and error and do all sorts of different things until we got the appropriate image. We do things differently. We'll select the Add Media button again, associated with our post creation editor container. We'll select the appropriate image, and we have a number of options here. These are shortcode options to render images. Now, shortcode with images does a number of things. It scales them down to a manageable file size. So you can upload, a 5 megabyte image. It'll scale it down to 70K. It applies a width to it. It automatically scales the height. It applies a filter if necessary, and when used properly, it'll include the caption and description and all sorts of things. This image here, this first shortcode, I'm going to copy. Now that first shortcode is the one, the bare basic shortcode necessary to render a video on your, image on your website. So I'll copy that into the post container. I'll update there, and I'll open the page up again. If it decides to come on, click, there we go. And I'll refresh. This time it will be centered. It won't be the correct width necessarily. It'll be centered, but it's a manageable file size. And if I select that, it'll apply a modal that links to a larger image, which is sort of default behavior. Now, it's worth discussing the width here. There is an option in Java to globally change the default width that is applied to every image that is inserted with the shortcode I just showed you. We're in Java now, we're on the SMS page. I'm going to select Website Management. And I believe the image option is on the 4th Website Management page. So I'm selecting the right chevron icon here, page 2, page 3, and page 4. Apologies for the slow internet and the lag and everything else. That's what happens when I do screen recordings. There's an option here called Images. If I select that and select the applicable website, open it up, it's going to give me an option here for the default image width that is applied to all images on our website, and whether we link to the larger image or not. There are some options here for altering the image quality, but they're generally automatically applied. So I can put in 7060 here, and that will be the new default. What I'm going to do instead of changing the default on our demo website is I will go back here and I will type in width. This is called a shortcode attribute. So width equals double quotes 760 close double quotes, and that will change the width of that image. I can also change the height, so I can put in width equals 500, height equals 500, and it'll create a 500 by 500 pixel. Now, there we go. So it looks a little bit nicer, and that's generally kind of 760 might be the default value that's applied by you when you make decisions about how you want your images to look. We don't have a caption there yet. Let's have a look at that. Now, there are a number of options for even captions. Now, the very first thing we need to do when we look at the WordPress editor is we have alt text, title, caption, and description. The alt text is important for accessibility. It shouldn't say nurses. It should say a group of nurses in a hallway dressed in nursing attire. That's for accessibility, but also for Google, because Google Images sort of leans on alt text in order to understand what the image is, or it's a hint. It doesn't tell them. Certainly with AI, they can evaluate it contextually, and they do different things, so it's becoming less relevant. Title, caption, and description should always be populated. Every time you upload an image, make sure you create those values. Now, there are other image options here. This second shortcode is when we have a caption, and this is going to be the last one I show you. So I'm going to copy that, By the way, I'll just go through very quickly. You've got image height equals 100, width equals 100, so that's a 100 by 100 thumbnail. Image caption equals 1. Okay, so that's just caption stuff. You can review our FAQs for an understanding of what this stuff does. Link URL is 1903, which is the post ID and your text. That's when it becomes a link. Notice this time it's not if you wanted to link to an image in your post rather than actually display the image. This is the shortcode you would use where you replace your text with whatever you want. So it becomes a link. And then you've got the image ID and pictured shortcode. Remember, I've copied this second shortcode. And I'll just show you very quickly. I will keep that width equals 760 in there. So that, and I'll just delete what I did before. We've got the image in here. I've actually copied the shortcode incorrectly because I did a whole bunch of copying and pasting. That's all right. I'll just replace that. You won't be so clumsy. So we've got the image shortcode, then the picture shortcode. The picture shortcode is a caption. Your caption can take on 2 shapes, or really 3 shapes. Let's talk about just 2. So you can just have any text of your choosing in there, in the picture shortcode. So I'll just do that to make the caption stand out a little more so you can see what I've done. And we've got the image width of 760. I'll update that. And refresh the page, hopefully. Come on. Okay, I'll refresh the page and that'll just show us the caption. Now, it's sensible, there we go, and it's got the pictured shortcode there with all the applicable text. This pictured shortcode can be customized again within Yabba, so you can alter the size, shape, color, all sorts of stuff. And again, it's just a more robust and agile solution than that which is default and supplied by WordPress. Now, you remember with each image, there is a caption option. And this is the option, by the way, that you will most often use. The caption is here. This is a demo caption. And what I'm going to do is insert the post ID into my caption rather than text, just the post ID. And what that will do in this case is apply the caption on page that is sourced from the caption within WordPress. And this is a demo caption just there. That's a more scalable way of doing or using captions because you can change the caption programmatically, whereas if you hard code it, it is hard coded. Anything hard coded onto your website is kind of static, it's difficult to change. Whereas you can change the caption via the API or via Yabba or a whole bunch of different ways. So let's look at scaling this to 300 in width, and then I'm going to put in a new attribute here, is height equals 300. Height is normally usually calculated automatically. I'm going to remove the pictured stuff. Keeping in mind this is not best practice. I forgot to put in the alignment there. So I want to demo alignment and the thumbnail aspect of it sort of in one hit. So once that there we go. And I'll type in align equals left. Again, it's a shortcode attribute, which I've misspelt. So align equals double quotes left, double quote. And I will save this. Now, when you're creating an article, you're not going to align content to the left or the right of the post container. That's just silly. Don't do it. Always keep your images in line like this. People retop the bottom and the inline stuff can be quite distracting. So best practice is to keep it in line, guys. So let's have a look at that. Yeah, it looks silly, right? It just looks silly, but it's available to you, right? It's an option that's there if you need it. Certainly you can create these thumbnails anywhere for any reason. The URL created by these thumbnails, by the way, is a standard URL with a JPEG and a PNG and whatever else extension. It is a standard URL. And it's recognized as URL for all intents and purposes. It is the image that you were showing on your page. And saying that might be a little moot or redundant because most people aren't aware of the typical way of scaling images where you use parameters associated with the URL itself, and they might have width equals 100 and height equals 260 and all those sorts of things. We avoid that. So we've got a different way of doing it via our proprietary sort of in-house image shortcode solution. We built it ourselves because it needs to be scalable. Now, when we send images to client websites and via our article program, it's a big reason we've had to recently update our image shortcode. When we send images to your website, those images are sent to your website. We're never linking externally because those external links can't be relied upon. And that applies to partner websites as well. Now, a lot of what we've embedded or included within the image shortcode is done because we are, in essence, custodians of the relationship or the social relationship you have with your partners to a certain extent, because we're manufacturing or sending content to their websites. So we kind of had to provide a whole bunch of robust and scalable solutions that allowed you to include content in different ways. In many cases without having to create the images and send all the images to websites and things like that. So there are a whole bunch of different ways of doing this. I won't go into it now because it'll just confuse you. So let's look at importing a remote image into a website. Now we're going to, I've got the FBAA website up here, I think. I was looking at this before. There's the FBAA website. Let's just bounce around this. Oh, there's an image. Oh, don't know what that is. I'll just bounce to another page. Oh, here's a few images. Let's look at this one. Right click on that image. And I'm using Microsoft Edge here just for the demo. It's a little bit faster with than Chrome when I'm doing video recordings. I don't normally use Edge. But I can't even move that at the moment because the screen is frozen. So right click and there's copy image link as an option. That exists in Chrome as well. Select that. Because what we're going to do next is import that image into our website and show it in our post. Again, I'll just show you the media library here. We've got the Boeing 777 images. In a second, I'll come back to that and you'll see that the FBAA image that we just looked at is in your media library. In this case, I'm going to type in image with the opening and closing square brackets. I'm going to type in, or at least copy V. So I'm going to paste in the MFAA image, square bracket, / image, close bracket. Right? Image tags are always an opening tag and a closing image tag, and then everything in between is evaluated. In this case, it's an external image. So I'm going to update that. Now, it's important to understand when you import an image into your website from an external source, the very first time you view the page, it will take about 5-6 seconds because it does a whole bunch of things on the back end. It manufactures a whole bunch of little versions of thumbnails and SEO images and all sorts of stuff. So let's pull up this page. And in fact, what I'll do here is I'll also add in width equals 670, just because it looks better. On your website, you won't do that because you would have defined the default width from within Yabba. Okay, so I'm just doing that for the purpose of the demo. Let's refresh the page. And part of the reason I did it is to show you how the default image shortcodes can be used on any image or any content within those image tags. Here we go, that's still loading, and there we go. There's the image. You can add a caption to that. You can link that image back to the original page. You can do a whole bunch of different things. So if I go back to the media library here and select library, that image will be in there. Each subsequent request for that image will not in any way touch that remote image on that other website, on the FBAA website. It's all hosted and managed locally now. So it's just an alternate way of doing things. You could easily save the image, then upload it to your WordPress and do all sorts of different things. This just makes it really quick, right? And it's handy sometimes, particularly programmatically, where things are done automatically on your website. You just want that URL to be applied as it needs to be applied. So that's that example. Let's now look at a YouTube thumbnail image that links to a video. Now I've got a couple of things up here from CommBank. Let's look at the CommBank page. They're really good with their thumbnails and they always look good. So, and it's always descriptive. Take charge of your cash flow, turn money goals into reality, and so on. So they're generally pretty good. Use these tricks to your advantage. It's not very descriptive, I guess. Kicking goals in the kitchen, all right? But you see what I mean, like their thumbnails are just good. You can use them by default if you need to. And certainly if we're submitting articles to your website, we don't always embed a video. Sometimes we'll embed a thumbnail if that thumbnail used by the lender or by the third party is of quality. So let's pull up this video, which I had before. I'll just use it. I'm going to right click on that and copy video URL. I'm going to go back to the page I was editing and I'm going to remove that FBAA image we just had and I'm going to paste in the Google link. Now this can be any Google link of any type. It can be a video link of any type. It can be the thumbnail image itself. If you have it, you probably don't. It can be any format of YouTube video. It doesn't matter. As long as it's YouTube, then this will be evaluated in the way that we're about to show. So I'm going to go back here. Remember, this is importing an external image. The very first time we refresh the page, it'll take a few seconds, although Google servers are very fast, so it will be a little bit quicker. And that loads planning for tomorrow, which is the video in question. And you can see the Commonwealth Bank thumbnails do look quite nice. If I select this, that is going to bring up the YouTube video directly. And in many cases, doing that would take maybe 2 or 3 minutes to accomplish. So the shortcode option, it gives you agility in that creation, where if you needed to create something in 5 minutes, and many times you do, you can use this method and it's bulletproof. The YouTube method always works. The next thing I'm going to show you will not always work, and I'll explain why. Next thing we're going to look, I've got the NAB page here as well. There you go, the NAB home loan page here. Let's have a look at what's on it. Because what we're going to do is we're going to create a screenshot of a page. So investing in property, I just want something, here you go, that's a popular thing. You might include that link, for example, within a blog post if you wanted to talk about the 5% deposit scheme and you wanted to link to various pages and show what the lenders are saying and so on. There might be reasons where you use it. So I've copied this link, right click and copy link. So I'm going to go back to that demo page we were using and I'm going to keep the width as 670, which you would not have in most cases, and that is a standard HTML page. Okay, so we've copied a standard page within our image tags. Now, if that is not a YouTube link, it's not an image and whatever else, we run a bunch of checks beforehand to check what that content is before we do the before we perform the magic. If it is a HTML page, then we would take a screenshot. So I'm saving that. Screenshots will take about 10 to 12 seconds the very first time because we're sending a request to Yabba. Yabba takes a screenshot, sends the image data back to your website. Remember, this is only ever the case on the very first occasion that you take the screenshot. On subsequent page loads, everything's very quick. And I'll just load that page there. And here we go. So I'm counting my head, 1 second. That's 5 seconds. And it probably will be close to, there you go, probably 8 or 9 seconds. But it's retrieved a screenshot there of the Australian government 5% deposit scheme on the NAB website. Now that does, I guess, leapfrog those hurdles associated with taking a screenshot, assuming you have the appropriate software or whatever else, saving it locally, renaming it, uploading it to your website and doing all that sort of stuff. And there are options we detail in the FAQ where you can link back to the original website, which is generally preferred, or linking to the larger version of itself, which is what would happen if I clicked on this here. It would just link the larger screenshot, although the screen recording software doesn't like it, so it'll fail. So that's that, guys. Super simple to do. And so let me check something there. Yep, and that's that. That's, and by the way, there are about 30 options you can apply to screenshots. By default, it will take the screenshot at 1920 by 1080, so kind of in a HD format. However, you can apply a width and height however you like, and it will scale the 1920 by 1080 screenshot. You can alter the size of the screenshot that is created on the basis of a couple of attributes, W and H. Then width and height actually alters the retrieve screenshot on your page. Now that is where I start to sound a little nutty, and it just becomes a little complicated. Now the FAQ will go into this. In most cases, the default behavior is absolutely acceptable. So that's that. A really handy feature. Now I'm going to delete that stuff from our page. We don't want those nonsense images there. I'll remove that. If I go back to the media library, we'll have 3 extra images. That'll be the FBAA image, the screenshot, and the YouTube thumbnail. So we'll give that a few seconds to do its thing. And that's the advantage of the system I've just described, is everything works locally. You're not relying on external sources for something to work. And content creation needs to be agile. I think my internet's frozen up here, guys. We'll just give it a couple of seconds to load that. Now, the last thing we're going to look at is how to create a basic gallery of images. There you go, 1, 2, and 3. Those images are imported in full. You can do anything you like. You can use these shortcodes as necessary to embed the content, whatever. It's just, they're your images down on your site. By the way, with screenshots, there was just one occasion where a guy asked me, I need to change it every day. And that option does exist. The attribute of expires at will set an expiry time for that screenshot. So it regenerates every 24 hours or so, or every 3 days, or every 1 month, or whatever. Just regenerates as necessary. It's kind of a clumsy option because WordPress FAQ, to a lesser extent, but certainly a WordPress post, is a fixed point in time. It represents a date and an opinion or a policy or something that applied at a particular point in time. Okay, so last thing we're going to do is look at how to include a gallery. So I've got a blank Elementor page here. And what I'm going to do is pull open this page in its Elementor glory. So here we go. I'm just going to delete that. Now, all right, if I go back to the media library, I just need to refresh you on one thing. If I pull up an image here, remember there is an image ID associated with this post, 22739 in this case. Now, in most cases, certainly when we embedded an individual image, we use this shortcode here, image 22739 image. But how about if we wanted 3 images, or 4 images, or 10 images? So rather than go through this step by step, I've created just a whole bunch of image IDs within image tags. So what I'm going to do is pull up this Elementor page and search for shortcode, because what we're doing is using the shortcode option in Elementor. And I'm going to post this shortcode which produces this content. And that will take just about 5 or 6 seconds. So we'll just refresh that. There we go. And it'll produce all those images in a grid. So I am saving that. And I'll open up a page in a second so you can see what it looks like. In fact, before I do that, this is the page that I'm going to refresh in a moment. It may automatically refresh as soon as Elementor stops saving. You remember, this is what the YouTube grid looked like. So this is a variation of that using what we call containers. The image functionality looks very different to the standard YouTube stuff. The YouTube stuff is formatted for YouTube videos, whereas I'll just make sure that's saved. It has. I'll refresh this page and the grid will be here. Now we'll look at a number of options. So we'll look at how this gallery functionality works, and it does look better, and it is more functional, it is more scalable than the default WordPress solution. There is a gallery widget available in Elementor, but it's only used for galleries that are made available within Yabba. Okay, I have to go through that another time. This is used for quick, effortless creation of galleries that might be necessary just for basic stuff. In this case, we've just got the images. They lie nicely into a grid. Let's have a look at just what they look like with 6 to a page. The shortcode I use here to alter the number of images is rows equals 4. Okay, rows is very deceptive because they're actually columns that we're changing. We're not changing the number of rows. The rows will scale based on the number of columns. So columns is also available as an attribute there. I did 4, didn't I? Which is exactly the same. So let's go number equals 6, and that will scale. Now, there we go. And it is quick, by the way. This is super quick. This whole thing is super quick. You can change the width between the height between different columns and all that sort of stuff. Now, as we go to 3, it does change a little bit. I'm going to talk about this in a moment, because there is a time and place when 3, 2, and 1, or 3 and 2 rows is necessary. At the moment, that's missing content on the right-hand side. That's because we need a caption or a description, which we haven't added yet. Unlike the YouTube videos, you can put in larger number of images in each row, and it doesn't look as silly as the YouTube images. But we want a caption. So what I'm going to do is pull up the media library. Now, for the nurses image we used previously, we did have, this is a demo image, this is a demo description. Right, now what I've done for a whole bunch of different images that we used in this gallery is I've done exactly the same thing. This is a demo caption, this is a demo description. Now, there's also a title there. For all of those images, there was a title coupled with credit cards. So the very first thing I'm going to do is add the title. I'll get rid of the number equals 8 and put it back to 4. And I'll go title equals yes. Okay, that'll render in a second, and it will show us our grid with the title element applied. Now, the title in isolation is often inadequate. We'll often need the description or the caption for context. If you just have the title, it will only show the title and it will be centered. If I want the caption in there, I type in caption equals yes. And we'll give that a few seconds. It is immediate, guys. It's delayed here simply because I'm doing the screen recording and it hangs on everything. So we'll give that 5 seconds. The difference here is it will align to the left, and you'll have the caption aligned to the right. If I also want the description, so we can optionally include both, description equals yes as a shortcode attribute, and we'll give that a few seconds to do its thing, and it will apply the description as well to the right hand side. And this is where it becomes a bit messy. If I was to go with 8 images in each column here, it's going to look terrible. All right, so if you do use the caption and description, try and keep it down to, I'd say, 5 at the very most. But anything above that tends to look a bit wonky. Now here, if we go to 3, this is where it changes shape a little, because we realign these images to be the left-hand side of the container with the description and caption off to the right. So give that a few seconds to do its thing. So they're aligned in the same way. If you remember what the YouTube options looked like, the image options are effectively the same. We will truncate these descriptions if they're too long, just to, and then you'll have a tooltip which will apply the description in full. That keeps it really nice and so on. So I'll just publish that and we'll just have a look, for example, at what it looks like on a page. So I'll refresh this fella. And the important thing for us is, or was for us, I guess, is we needed to manufacture a solution which exceeded the capability of all the generic plugins out in the market that kind of were bloated. What we're doing here is 12 lines of code. Like it's minimalistic in the way it returns and presents to a screen. The other thing it does, which is unavailable really in most even commercial solutions, is that hadn't finished saving on this development side. It's actually still saving there. Is all of these images that you include will be scaled to a particular format. In this case, they're sort of the 16:9 style of format. So, and we'll see what it looks like. So your images, once they're in the grid, will always inherit a standardized common size. And that's done in an optimized way. So it reduces the image quality only by 20% or so. It minimizes the file size and manufactures it in such a way that it is optimized for delivery. And once you save this the first time, everything is cached in full. So if I click on any of these images, it will link to a larger version of itself. And that's the default behavior of galleries. Okay, so I can link there and it just links to the larger version of itself. It's really nice, it looks really attractive and so on. It's designed in such a way that it is aesthetically appealing, and certainly more appealing than the default WordPress solutions. So there it is in 2 columns, which I tend to avoid. I'll always do 3 or 4. 4 is always my preferred on a page, or 5. You'll make up your own mind. You'll see what sort of fits with your solution. Now, the format of image itself. Now, we've got an attribute called F, which is format. And I'm going to copy here from a text file off screen. I'm going to copy here, right at the end. And I'll make sure I edit this and zoom in on this sort of stuff. F equals SD, which is standard quality as opposed to high quality, or HD in our case. And that renders a SD image. Now I can also change that to square. And if I render square images, they will render to the screen as fully cropped square images, as we've got here. And this, I guess, is where if you've got maybe just a title and a large number of images, the square images tend to look really nice. So it's a really simple solution to use, guys, and it produces predictable and beautiful results on your page. Let's have a look at what that looks like just on your page before we sort of close everything down and finish up. Now, there are some other attributes that can be applied to the gallery. Just while that's saving, there are some other things you can do. You can change the You can make these in black and white if you want to, via one single attribute. I think it's by equals true. You can change the margin below the image or the color of the container that homes each image, and the color of the text, the line height, the font size, all sorts of stuff. So virtually every aspect of this is customizable. So while I said the Yabba version that retrieves images from your Yabba media library and renders them to your page is a more scalable solution, it kind of looks the same. So the same framework is used to render results. So the difference in the Yabba / Elemental version is that we access the images from Yabba, and the options are more easily applied. We certainly don't use a shortcode, although shortcode remains as an option. So guys, the point I'm kind of making with all this is you do have a ton of options available to you, certainly when it comes to images and the way you present them to your page and so on. And we do this in order to make your experience, as I've said 100 times, more agile. We need to speed up the way in which content is manufactured and produced. We need to minimize the amount of time you spend formatting pages and all that sort of stuff. So that's that, guys. If you've got any questions about image shortcode, or you want any features added, or you're confused about anything, certainly give me a call on 0400 777 300 directly. Call or text at any time. You can visit our website at beliefmedia.com.au. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.